There it is.
But
Yay. Thank you for reminding me.
Oh, sorry. And I'm invisible too. Okay.
Okay. We got
Hurry up and eat. Hurry up and eat, Mary, so we can see your face.
So what I was asking is how does Greenwich have such a successful branch and close to 70 members? I mean, that's great. And Lee was answering my question.
Well, from the title that was given to this, I kind of understood that I should be prepared. So I actually have a number of notes here. If I've gone overboard, at any time you can throw up your hands and say stop. But other than that, if you don't mind, since I did the work, perhaps I might as well just go ahead. And
Please.
Since it's being recorded. I have to start with the fact that COVID has made all the difference in both good ways and bad ways. And I think for us, it's important to acknowledge the good ways because I accepted to be president in February, I think it was, of 2020. And by the time the gavel passed in May, of course, we were deep into COVID. And our former president, fortunately, jumped right into Zoom and got us all going on Zoom. Do you remember the expression, what is Zoom? Yes. And here we are a year later. Just kind of living with it as a family member, basically, in a good kind of a way. COVID itself got us to start thinking about ourselves because we were deep into COVID. And by, I remember March and April, a lot of us were seriously depressed by our confinement and so many other kinds of things happening. And I was fortunate to have a wonderful board and a lot of creative people who were ready to kind of jump in the pool with me and think, well, okay, here we are. I mean, we wish we could have been in a pool together, but we're in our individual pools here. So we plunged in and we started improvising is the best word I can think of. But we were really focused on member involvement and participation rather than recruitment. But all of the things that I think we have developed can be used for recruitment. And I have quite a list. We got ambitious as the year went along. We had a lot of fun with it. We had a lot of ideas pop up that we never would have been able to have done without Zoom. So I continually point to Zoom as the thing that has permitted us to spread our wings and fly and really do a number of, I think, wonderful things. So I do have a list of things I'll say. I can even send you the list if you wish at some point. But
yes,
I do want to say that if you can hang on till the end, and I'll try and make it as speedy as possible, that I've got some really exciting news that is kind of the look of the future and really what I think is going to mean the difference between our group surviving and not surviving as a group of artists. But it's an opportunity which I will describe. So you can be ready for that. But we had a lot of new things come up and I'll kind of go through the list. We've done collaborations with local nonprofits and we had done that. We had, there's a group called Greenwich Reads Together, sponsored by the Greenwich Library, and I was one of the founding members representing Penn Women for that. And we connected with the libraries and then the whole community to have the whole town read one book and discuss it in schools and homes and all other kinds of forums. And so that was one form of outreach we did. But in addition, one of our members came up with the idea of doing open mic nights for community discussions. People bringing their artwork or books or poems, even humor, songs to the community. And the Greenwich Library was excited about that and hosted them. And Diane was herself the hostess, you might say, of the program. And that went on for a couple of years. And then, of course, COVID hit, but they made a easy switch to doing it online, and that was successful. We had a separate collaboration with the Perrott Library. The Greenwich Library system has 5 libraries in it, and we recognize each. They're different in their own ways, but most of them are part of the Greenwich Library system. but Diane did one of her open mic nights there. But we formed a separate collaboration to do book reviews, and the library is the host to it, but the Greenwich Pen Women provide the book discussion group leader, which is sometimes the same person or often different members come forward with a book they'd like to present. The library gets excited about it. And so we have several of those every year. And those are always open to the whole community, as the open mics have been. And so that's getting our name out into the community. And it's creating excitement on our side too. People get excited about the fact that they can talk to community members and present their favorite book, or bring a new poem or sing a song for the community in this kind of a forum. And I'd say that's been working really well, although COVID did put something of a crimp into that. In November, because we had no programs planned, it was COVID, we were still trying to think, hello, what's my name? I reached out to the Greenwich Historical Society, and they had newly renovated archives. So I asked if they might give us a tour of the archives, targeting things, visuals, and other items they might have there that might spark interest in somebody writing a book. So it attracted very many of our writers to it, and that was quite successful. And then in April, we did another program with the Bruce Museum of Art and Science. And it was a tour of one of the art exhibits. The library's the Bruce Museum is almost doubling its size, and they've had several building delays and other things. So the program kept getting canceled, moved, and so, but we did have it finally in April, and it was crafted very much to our desires and worked very well, and guests were invited to that as well. But it resulted in the museum reaching out to us to ask if we had artists who might fill a couple of paid positions, not on the staff, but to do special workshops for them. And that was a wonderful thing. We'd like to establish ourselves, get our name out there as a group of people who can provide services like this, both paid and volunteer. But Barbara, who is with us today, is one of those artists. As a poet, she has been going to teach a poetry workshop in coordination with one of the exhibits, but that got delayed. But that will come to her when the exhibit is able to be mounted in the right way. We have a lot of attractive activities in our disciplines that I think bring people to us. And I would certainly say that while each of our three disciplines has its own unique format and attractions, I think letters does an amazing and outstanding job. And I know both Barbara and Adrian are members of that, but I'd love to ask Adrian if she would give us kind of a idea of how letters attracts members to us.
Sure. With letters, because we have so many great writers in our group, people who are doing some amazing things. We have a group that critiques our writing. And so if someone is in the process, like before I even became a pen woman, I participated in a lot of their critiques. And that really got me interested in participating, just knowing that there was a group of women who were writers, who were established. It was a way for me to just say, okay, I'm going to gently step in and try my pen as well. And so that in of itself has been something that continues to be a draw, because we meet monthly, every month, and people are allowed to submit their writing, whether it's a short story, a memoir, or a poem, or what have you, to be critiqued, and to be critiqued by women who are established writers, some who have written for New Yorker and major newspapers and magazines, and they are editors. And so just being around these women and to be able to be mentored, I would say, and also provide, what this group does is we provide workshops. We've had authors who came in, and publishers who came in and talked to us and opened up these meetings to the public as well. And so it is a active group with a lot of women who, like I said, I can't stress enough the fact that these women are established and are known in our community. Whether it's our Greenwich or our neighboring communities at large. And so I think, did I catch everything, Lee?
Well, I think you did, except the one thing that since I haven't attended those meetings, when I get the monthly 2 pages or 2.5 pages single spaced of all the requirements if you're submitting, I mean, it's fierce. It's daunting. And
Yeah.
yet that in itself is what seems to attract people to it. And I'm in awe
Yeah.
of everybody who goes there. And they are among the most committed of our members. If you ask, what do you think of Pen Women? A lot of the Letters members don't talk about Pen Women. They talk about Letters. So it's a very successful aspect of it. And someday I hope to get there, but I don't seem to have written the type of things that are appropriate to that atmosphere, but maybe I'll get there. Now, the other two disciplines are art and music. You'll be hearing from Barbara about our poetry a little later because I've put it just into another category. And Adrian represents music. Would you like to say something about the music?
Well, other than, I just want to make sure that we are really answering some of the questions, because I was under the impression that you're really concerned about how are we getting people involved in Pen Women.
Attracting new members.
Attracting, new members. And so I have to say, we have not done that yet. We have not attracted new members. However, just like the other disciplines, what we're really trying to make sure that we do is that we get our names out. We are positioning ourselves so that we get our name out, so that then people will say, oh, I got to be a part of this group. And so with music, we have some great musicians, some great composers. And of course, with COVID, well, you all know, or maybe you don't, but with COVID, we were able to provide a music program that we were able to offer to our Tampa branch, which that was like one of the first things that happened with this cross-pollination, that we were able to, the actual music program that we provided for Greenwich, when we began to realize the importance of reaching out to the other members across the country, Tampa reached out to us, and then we were able to provide a music program that they absolutely enjoyed, and we enjoyed doing it for them. And so, again, I think the importance of just getting out and being out there so that people know. And through that, I believe that is what's going to draw others in.
And I have to point out that Adrian said, I'm going to call National and ask for the names of all of the music chairs in the country. And we're all like, what? And she did. And she started this. And it's that kind of thinking that has been a blessing to us in COVID, because everything ends up being like, what? But we can do things that we were not able to do before. If you have to find a meeting place and people's schedules and all of that, it doesn't work as well as a lot of this does. Yes, we will go back to having meetings in person, but I hope not to let go of this kind of thing, because we can talk together, which we couldn't have done in any room before this. So
And
still,
Leah, if I could just say, I think that's what's also going to be important moving forward, is we are going to have to be a group where we can be a group that is an online, has a major online presence, at the same time as being able to be active in our local communities. I mean, we are going to have to view ourselves as a group of women that has a major online presence. And if we miss that, if we miss that point, I think, we will fail to miss something that's very, very important. We have to literally view ourselves more online, and then have our local chapters making sure that we are out and about within our communities. But overall, we are and have to have and must be an online group, because we're strength in numbers this way.
I swear that I did not talk to Adrienne about this before. She has no idea what I'm going to be saying at the end of this,
Okay.
which is
Okay, I'll wait.
right online. Yes, believe me, curl your toes so you keep your socks on.
We have
in the-
15 minutes. We have 15 minutes left.
Okay, I didn't realize there was a timeline on that. Well, just let me scroll down quickly. Other things we did, which we created our own programs. This is outside of the disciplines. This is working together. We had summer socials each month, and creative conversations in other months when things were getting dull. We created a very popular expressions gallery online, where there's a monthly exhibit. It includes videos and all other kinds of art. Any artist from any discipline can submit to that. Very popular. We had a virtual poetry reading from a book that we published in 2013 when things were slow in October, and many of the artists who contributed to the book read their poems. We resurrected that, and it was very successful. We had a Zoom session for people who had written things in celebration of the suffragists' centennial celebration. We had the music, the new normal. We had a holiday bazaar on our website. Members posted things. We had nothing to do with the sales. Anything was private, member to member, but you could post whatever it is you'd like to sell or show. And we're going to do more of that for the winter. We had a 90-minute writing your memoirs virtual workshop presented by 2 members, and it filled up within the first 2 minutes and was very successful. We did our own Zoom open mic night just for our members, and that was a lot of fun. We enjoyed that. Now, one thing we have just done is launch a poetry group. And Barbara, you're going to have to keep it down to about 2 minutes now.
Okay.
And it is our
First of all,
poet,
yeah.
our poet here, Barbara. Yeah.
First of all, thank you, Lee. You always get everything. Adrienne, I think I met you at something that Greenwich Pen Women did, which was an art exhibit. And we had a panel, and I loved you then. I love you now. You brought so much energy and excitement to our group. So thank you. And you're in my poetry group. And why I started my poetry group is because a lot of people after the poetry reading, which I organized and hosted, wanted to have poetry be more important. And they had things to say. They wanted to be doing it in poetry. And a lot of them didn't know how to go about that. And since I'm a poet and I have a lot of experience in poetry and a lot of poems that have been published and a couple that were awarded, and the Indian Award, which only they gave to 80 people in America, they looked to me as somebody who could start it. And so I did. And so I started this poetry group. It is not judgmental. The whole thing about this group is it is not a critique group. So it could not fall actually under letters, because letters is all critique. So we decided to make it a separate group. It's like a subgroup. I don't know how they do it, but we now have 6 active members and maybe 3 more or 4 more who might come on. And we have done a lot of work in this group. We've shared our poems. We've shared a couple of forms of how to write poetry. And we also are doing a round robin poem in email. which was one of the members' ideas, so I went with it. And I'm very excited about this group. I love it. And it just, it fills me with joy that people want to just write poetry, because that is the whole idea of what I wanted it to be. And I have a special surprise, which I'll let Adrian and Lee know. I have a friend who wrote How to Write Poetry, Cynthia Sharp, and she is in Canada, in Vancouver, but she has agreed to come on and talk to our group this next meeting.
Great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And Barbara, thank you. We could go on for a long time about what you're doing for us in poetry, and it's exciting and I'm loving it. So thank you very much. And so finally, since I have said there would be something else that's very exciting, we in art, we have had no one heading that discipline until very recently. Ellen Fagan, who is a longtime member and a very accomplished artist, and founded her own gallery in New York City after raising 3 young boys by herself when her husband died at a very young age. She has overcome all kinds of things, and yet she launched this gallery named Odetta in New York City. And on the day that COVID shut New York City down, her gallery closed. And basically that was the end of it, as it is for many other galleries. But that did not stop intrepid Ellen. And she marched right ahead, and she began to explore the concept of an online gallery, cutting out a lot of stuff, which I could tell you in great detail, but I won't, is that I attended a meeting. I joined her Odetta online gallery, and I knew nothing about Instagram, had never used it, have sweated for hard on how, accomplishing how to submit works to this, to the gallery and so forth. It is very successful. Ellen has made it part of an online community, which is through the SHIM network, SHIM, all caps. And she's working very closely with the founder and organizer of that. And to go to the bottom line, galleries basically are going to cease to exist largely in the form that we know them. Not galleries that carry the work of dead artists, of course, or museums, but for live artists, and perhaps not those that are best known, there is going to be a whole new way to exist in the world. And that is by starting at the smallest, by joining a small group of some sort, and that group becoming part of a network such as SHIM, and then being placed in the art forum on Artsy or ArtNet. I happen to be a member of Silvermine Guild, and I am online through the Silvermine Guild in ArtNet, but I'm also online through Artsy. And I have connections. Ellen sent them to me, and I will be happy to send those on to you, so you can take a look at Artsy, you can take a look at Odetta, you can even take a look at how I appear on there. But here's the thing, Ellen is a person who has loved pen women. We have been a kind of family for her. She has been beyond generous with the arts when she founded her gallery and so forth, and still she opens her home for us to have critiques there. She's done all of these things to support and encourage the rest of us. And she continues to do that. Having moved online with her Odetta gallery, she established it with some 70 artists that she had worked with in her New York gallery, and they're all over the world. Interesting group. And then she incorporated a group of us who were interested into that group. And so I happen to be among the lucky few who started there. But it's been experimental, and it's changing as we speak. She and the person who runs SHIM continue to change. But here's the concept that has been in her head and what we talked about shortly after she started. If this works for members of the Greenwich Pen Women, and the board votes for us to form our own group, That means we would have our own curator who would curate the members within, present to Shim, and Shim put it on Artsy. Then we would have a presence as pen women. I have a presence as an individual at this moment through Odetta Gallery, but I could also, and all of us could also be part of that Greenwich Pen Women group. It means that instead of putting works in your closet all the time and wondering, you know, oh, that's old, I can't show it anymore. No, once it's online, it exists forever. And it's part of when somebody is looking for a show on tea kettles or ceramic sculpture. When those tag words are attached to your work, you'll be found, whether it's in Dresden or Munich or whatever. And I was on a meeting 2 nights ago with this group in which these very things are happening right now. So you will have a presence as an artist. Ellen is very concerned that this not be artwork traditional, that this be a forum for all the disciplines. That includes music, writing, poetry, all of these things. And this is very much in her mind. And also in our minds was the thought of the possibilities for all of the pen women, all of the national pen women. Now, it's a very long leap. Right now, we haven't, even as the Greenwich Pen Women, we've had one meeting in which Ellen explained it. And like anything else, a certain number of people expressed interest. We're going to have another meeting this month. And we'll see if there's interest at this point, if more people want to join. And okay, good. I see we're almost out of time, but I'm almost finished, if that's helpful. Thank you for upgrading the meeting so I didn't get cut off at that moment. This is all,
Okay.
this is all the future. It's the way to attract young people, because this is the way young people are communicating. This is the world that they know. It does not exclude those of us who are entering in the back door of this world at all, because someone can help you with that. But it is, in fact, the future of artwork, because your work will be available to people all over the world. And it will continue to be available. And it is inexpensive. And work can even be created. For example, the man who does the ceramic sculptures said, I couldn't put those in a suitcase and bring them to this show you're talking about in Montreal. He said, no, you're going to send the plans to there and they will create a sculpture through the, oh gosh, what's the process where you can create anything with the machine if you send it the plans, you know. So our work can
3D
be,
printer.
thank you. Yes. So artwork can be created elsewhere. There are many ways in the new world that your work can be presented, and all the obstacles that used to hackle us, you know, or tie us down no longer need to exist. So I hope that I've given you enough of a concept of what this is so that the ideas can begin to turn around. Ellen is extremely generous. She's willing to speak to any of you if you wish to speak to her. She is not a salesperson, so she's not selling this to gain profit for herself. This is a concept, and she's in the concept. She's living in this world now. She's creating things together. It's an opportunity, and people who join sooner will have perhaps more of an opportunity, but there's no timeline either. It would take some months or years before the whole pen women might be able to deal with a concept like this, but it's truly the future of communication in all of the arts and a huge opportunity. And I feel that we are incredibly indebted to Ellen for sharing this. She did not have to come to the Greenwich Pen Women and say, this is an opportunity that you might like, but she did. And so here I am passing the message along, and I thank you very much for listening, and I hope I haven't overwhelmed you with too much information. Thank you.
I am just amazed. I had no idea, and I am very grateful for your presentation and for what you have taught us. And please, can you email me your presentation, what you have there? You probably left out some, trying to hurry, didn't you, Lee?
Yes, that's all right. It's probably too many words anyway. I'll pare it down just to kind of the
Oh, okay.
things, and I'll throw in some more. I didn't get to say all the things, to write out all the things about the Artsy and the Shim network, so I can incorporate more of that and send it to you, plus the connections. It'll help a lot to just click into there and see what these shows look like and what people are doing and how they're connecting.
Well, Zoom did not cut us off. They extended this. So if you want to go on, if there's anything more, I'm already, we're already in unlimited, I think. So if there's,
Well, I'm open to questions.
okay. Well, I'm just overwhelmed. I just can't wait to see everything that you have. And Barbara, Adrian, and Lee, fantastic. I think we may have to have you where we can publish this in advance, let others know that you three will make a presentation very similar to maybe what you've done today. What do you think, Winnie, Dorothy? What do you guys think, Usha and Ray?
Oh, I'd love that. I'm so energized. I'm just sitting on my hands right now. I want
I'm
to
so
jump
glad.
to the screen. I don't know if I've had this much excitement in the whole time I've been in Pen Women, but
Oh,
Wow.
this is,
Wow.
oh my goodness.
No,
I'm going to start crying here.
I am just, this is where I wanted to be in this organization.
Yeah.
This is the direction that I've always thought that it should go in terms of us interacting, first of all, across the country,
Right.
not just in our own little bubble.
Right.
And what this has done is it has opened up that whole avenue, and in numbers we can see what would happen. I'm so interested in the poetry night, the Odessa. I tried to take notes.
Odetta.
Detta.
I'm interested in all of it, and we have Luana, what, 45, 50 members or so?
yeah, right at 47 right now.
And
48.
the excitement is just like a low burn that's coming in our branch, and we see it happening, and we want to just grab on to everything that we can use. So if I'm just over excited, just bear with me, because
Oh, no, it means the world to me, actually. I do have to say that the other side of this, which I was going to say in the beginning and didn't, in our membership, we have struggled with leadership, in the sense that our board, all of us have been wearing, I've been wearing 3 or 4 hats, Adrian 2 or 3, Barbara 2 or 3. There are six of us at the moment who are doing all of this, because we have characteristically much older membership. I am in that group, folks, so I'm not criticizing anybody. But many of those people, when I looked at the list, and I kept putting out appeals, and Adrian and Barbara will tell you, every president's notes on the web, every time I spoke to anybody, it was, we need help, would you please step up? And no responses, because most of those people have been president, treasurer, whatever. They've all done, some of them very long terms, helping the organization. And I respect that. And I've said out loud that this is not pressuring you who have served so well. Please sit back and enjoy, what we can offer. And that was one of the things that motivated me to do so many different kinds of things, because I want there to be things for everybody to do in the branch, and they're paying their dues. And if we can engage them in something, even if they can just tune in on Zoom, which most of the members can, and enjoy conversations, a summer chat, why not? Those kind of things. So we kind of run the gamut of the offerings, but I wouldn't want to drop too many of them, because if we can engage somebody and make them feel that they're a member of the group and they're still valued and they can come, that's important to me.
You know,
But So go ahead.
I just wanted to tag on to that too. By no means do we ever want to dismiss our older members who have
Right.
been the foundation of this group.
Right.
But, and a lot of them, just from conversations, I'm the outreach chair, so I talk to a lot of them. They love the idea that they're being pulled along into this exciting time.
Well, that's good.
And Zoom has given them the opportunity to see more happening, even when they couldn't come to a meeting in person. So it has opened up that avenue, and never ever want to just disregard them, because that's the foundation of our organization, are the people that have been here so long.
Right.
But it does give us a shot in the arm. It has included more interest, and I think you're just hitting it right on the head.
Well, thank you. And, you know,
Can I say
include-
something? Can I say something?
Sure.
I think the idea that Lee and Ellen came up with to have 5 co-chairs for art is just brilliant.
I haven't
And that
mentioned
came
that, but-
about, yeah, well,
Yep.
it came about because we didn't have an art chair. And that was very important. And no one wanted to step up and do it alone. And so now all of these people can interact. And we have 2 people coming to a meeting so that the 5 of them can talk about stuff. And it's very rewarding to see how much Lee's leadership has done for this group. And, you know,
Well, it's a
I
group
was-
effort,
yeah.
and that's what matters. That was actually Ellen's idea, because everyone was suffering because nothing was happening with art, and she's doing all
Right.
that she's doing, and yet she stepped up and said, maybe we can form a group. I'm going to talk to some of the people who have been interested in the Odetta thing. And they said, yeah, let's do this together. And they came to the board and said, can we do this? So 2 come as voting members to each of the meetings, and the other 3, you know, cycle in and out as they can, but they're already planning next year. And there's a trip in June to Wave Hill, which is an art place, and things are starting to percolate already. But that core is going to mean a lot to us as we move forward, because the one thing that concerns me in this wonderful art proposition is that the technology that is required to become part of one of these groups will definitely separate our groups into those who are interested or willing and those who aren't. But we want to make absolutely sure that it's clear that members who wish to learn it themselves will have help. So Ellen's already providing that. You can hire people for lessons. She gave me a 3-hour lesson in Instagram, and I insisted on paying her. She didn't want it, but I insisted because she needs to earn some money, and owning a gallery is not a good way to do it. So that concept of training people, but also someone else can do this for you. So you have members with a collection of great art. This creates jobs, and it can create jobs right within your membership too. Or it can attract younger people to our group who are willing to provide those services, be paid for it. They're professionals. Maybe, you know, maybe an artist, a young artist would like to earn some extra money, and then finds out that they could qualify to become a member by helping older members or other members who are too busy to put their work online. And, you know, it's just a win-win all the way around if it's done properly. And to me, the essential part is being done properly, inclusive on every level. Whatever we can do to provide instruction, keeping it professional, and supporting each other. If we can do that, I think we can ease our members, and I include myself
Right.
in that group because I'm being eased into it. I truly do not understand Instagram yet. I haven't got the big picture of what it is. I just know how to do certain things, but I'm determined to learn more. And I'm like a terrier. I go after it and I keep trying. So, but if I can do it, you can do it, you know, kind of a thing. And in that regard, my advanced age is a good thing, not a bad thing. So, other questions? Yes, Mary?
just some comments, but first I wanted to defer to Winnie in case she has anything she must say right now, because she is our
Oh.
branch president. Winnie, anything? I'm just so excited. It's,
Yeah.
my egg was delicious, but I'm so excited by all this. So, but I want to see if Winnie wants, needs.
Oh, no, I just, yeah, I think it's very exciting. We're thrilled to make connection with you, Lee and Adrian and Evelyn.
Barbara.
It is so, and Barbara, yeah, poetry, just great. We have a lot of writers in our group and they're not good on Zoom. And so maybe we can get them to come in on Zoom because they are poets and
Well, you know, we actually have our letters. We've had all of our letters meetings on Zoom
yeah, and
all
so
since
and maybe we
COVID
can
began.
help them to feel comfortable on Zoom and bring them back.
Yeah, that would be wonderful if you could do that, because it has helped our letters group to stay together.
Right.
And you know, you can send the submissions by email. And yes, we have a long list of do's and don'ts for that, but it's worked out so that our sessions have gone smoothly. That was the co-chair's idea, to get it to go more smoothly. So I think you could try and get your group, your letters group, to do Zoom if you're not doing it already. And it only requires somebody to have the, be the host and invite the members like you always do.
And
So,
are you going to hybrid? Because we're going to go back to home meetings in June, and then so you're going to do home meetings and Zoom.
I don't know, we're gonna have our first live meeting in June.
On June the 4th, but I mean, like I
Yeah.
said before, I think even churches, anyone at this point needs to understand the importance of, I think COVID taught us something,
Yes,
and we have to learn from that.
right.
And so offer it hybrid. I mean, why not? If people can make there, you eliminate the excuses.
mhm.
Not that it's an excuse for being bad, but I mean, if someone can't come out, they still have access to participating. And isn't that what we want?
Yes.
Yes, and Winnie, I do have a suggestion for that, because we had a case of our former president, who's now 94, who couldn't go on Zoom, and it was Ellen actually, who called her up and couldn't go visit her and just fix it all, called her up and spent about 2 hours with her on the phone. I mean, that's who Ellen is, but we had a discussion after that about the fact that these needs that people have can create jobs. And so she needed an assistant. And I said to her, create the job. I know you don't have a lot, you're not making much money here, but create the job, create the model. So that when we go into these groups, if that's the way we do it, if the Penn Women, Greenwich Penn Women form a group, we will need to have someone who coordinates us. We'll need to probably have someone with technical skills. We'll need someone who's a curator. We have most of those things, but we probably don't have those technical skills. But if we look at our community for a young person, a young woman who can be hired to teach, give those skills individually, or if one of our members couldn't afford it, I'm sure we'd find a way to pay for it. That person now knows the Penn Women. We've created
Exactly.
a job. We're going to get her interested in Penn Women too.
That's right.
So hopefully we would select a young poet or a young writer who's interested. And to me, this is the fast lane for bringing into our membership the people we need desperately,
Right.
who don't know they need us yet, and bringing the two together.
Right.
So you
Also,
have
I want to add,
meetings, you have separate
Oh.
meetings for letters and for,
yes,
I mean, you do.
Yeah.
So you meet once a month as a branch. And then you also have separate meetings for art and for letters and music.
Yes.
Well, we have programs.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
have
Programs.
Yes.
No,
we have-
no, but we have meetings
no.
too. We
the
have our
disciplines,
the
the
disciplines,
disciplines
the
have
music.
meetings.
the disciplines all meet.
But the membership has 5 meetings, 3 of which are open to the community. And the other two could be as well, but those are specific programs. We added a ton of programs for our members this year, some of which were open, like the open mics and those kinds of things. So other ways of reaching out. But what we used to do was just 5 programs. We see each other 5 times a year. And one of those was the meet and greet in September. And the last one was the annual meeting. But you know, for the first time, we had people at the annual meeting who couldn't climb the stairs or walk the road, you know, having to park down the road to somebody's house and climb a steep driveway. So I'm going to keep Zoom as a part of all of this in whatever way I can, so we can include those members.
Yeah, we are too. We're going to keep Zoom no matter what. Mary, you had something?
Yeah, there's just been so much marvelous detail in all this. I feel like it's important for me anyway, because my head is spinning with excitement.
Yes.
I want to do my best to articulate what some of the nuggets are from
Right.
today, because they're really wonderful. Because there's a commonality I think we're starting to hear in the meeting we had a week ago that was also about membership, and the people from the Sarasota, Wilma and Deanna also talked about membership. So what's standing out to me, both times we're hearing underscoring that the first order of business is to strengthen the group. We're actually strengthening our branch itself to make it, because that's important. And in doing that, it makes it more attractive. So I think this is a great commonality we're starting to hear. How do we strengthen the group? Then I heard something about affiliations. I'm not sure where, if that was
Yes.
Lee or Adrian.
Yes.
But either affiliations with
Collaborations.
nonprofits or community, collaborations. This also sounds so important, not just because it will give us the benefit of being in the public eye, but because it's the right thing to do. And what's the umbrella over that? The umbrella over all of this is, my God, how we learn from hearing what other branches do. And this would not have happened without Zoom. And I want to find a way for all of us to continue to learn. I mean, branches all function very
Yes.
differently, and that's fine. Some of them are 40 or 50 people, or they're
Yes.
5 people. They're going to have a different template. But man, do we learn hearing the types of other things that people do. And we need to continue to do that in the cross-pollination. And maybe we'd set up some kind of weird grid, like, the kind of graph, this month we meet with this branch from the Midwest. So by the end of the year, everybody's met with a branch they never knew about. I think this would be really valuable. So a very particular, Ray, Carol left, Usha, and Winnie. My head's spinning. Lafayette Library and Learning Center. We all keep talking about libraries, and I was saying libraries at another meeting, very generally, but I don't know if you know, the Lafayette Library and Learning Center is a first-class concert stage setting for art exhibits. I absolutely see us there. We have to just figure out how to book the place.
Or
Lastly,
get them to want you to be there.
and that leads into my
Yeah.
next one, Lee. I agree with what Adrian said, that we need to be and will become a group with a major online presence. What's still nipping at my heels is because my best girlfriend is an American who lives in Canada, and she's really smart. And every conversation I have with her, she constantly says, I still don't understand why I've never heard of Penn Women. And she reads American
There we go.
newspapers. And I say to her, well, Laurie, where I live, the San Francisco Chronicle, the kind of stuff we all grew up with, the feature section, the art
All
section,
gone.
the gardening, they don't exist
Right.
anymore. And I know we get press in some of the local newspapers, the smaller, but I want to state something uncomfortable. We need to figure out why we're not in something local here, like the San Francisco Chronicle or the Oakland Tribune. I believe we need the platform of being online, but people over 40 read newspapers. They still do. And we don't have enough written about us in newspapers. So to me, the first key to the door is, how do people find out about us? It's still that. I feel like that's still a bugaboo, and it's uncomfortable to say, but I think it's true.
Well,
And if we're never in the newspaper, I want to know why.
I'd like to add to
So-
that too, and I think that's a very important point. I was going to suggest, and I'm glad you brought this up, that the national board should have a technology person on the board. But is there a PR person on the national board?
Evelyn? Evelyn's there, but maybe.
It's a good
Maybe not
question.
listening.
I have to mute because so much is going on here and Lisa's not here. And so I'm answering the doorbell, answering the phone, and so I apologize for that. But I heard two questions. One was we needed a technology person, and then the question was, do we have a media person?
A PR person,
A public relations person.
right?
We
Yes.
do not have a public relations person on the board. But everybody who's on the board does some kind of PR work in their own branch.
However, I think the point that Mary was making was that we don't have a national presence.
President.
And I think, of course, I mean, I've worked in nonprofits my whole life, that basically that kind of thing for a national presence needs to be represented by someone on the national board. And the other thing would be the technology piece, because some guidance and leadership would be very helpful from national on this, because with all of us, it's growing organically out of the soil, so to speak, and we're the first to be attempting this kind of a thing. But if it's popping up all over the country, we probably should have national guidelines on how we represent the Penn women. We would be the Greenwich Penn women, but how can we effectively represent the National League of American Penn Women? Can we bring that all together as we enter into this new world online? And
can I
think
just
that's
say-
important. Yes, please.
Could I just say that
Whoops.
for our
Barb,
group,
Barb, you're
and women,
freezing.
You're
there
breaking
is a
up.
private,
Say it again,
Oh.
Barbara, you broke up. I'm sorry. Go ahead and say it.
okay.
again. You're frozen.
I created a public website for this group. There is a private one, but I created a public one, and everyone who is in Greenwich Penn Women can post on there. And a few, you know, if they can become administrative status and be able to post immediately. I know that Adrian has posted on there and Lee has posted on there, but this is something that I feel is good because it goes throughout the entire Facebook. Facebook is a huge community. And so we have a private one where we don't give out any addresses or anything. But on the public one, it's good to show where your events are. So we put all our events on there. The second thing I want to say is that with the library, Mary, we started this discussion on books that are read. And what happens is the library meets with us. We're the
Discussion
they
group
call it?
leader.
Well,
Discussion group
yeah,
leader.
right. We're the discussion leaders, and they give us a choice of books to read. And then we read them, and then we give a discussion. Now, I've done a couple of discussions in person, but I'm about to do one in the fall on Zoom, I think. So they're very wonderful because the people that you get to a discussion group mostly are not Penn women. A few of them are, but a lot are library people. And they get to know who the Greenwich, whoever your Penn women are. And you get a very nice vibration from that kind of thing. A lot of outreach to the community in that kind of thing. So in doing that, people get to know more and more. Oh yeah, that's the Penn woman who discussed this book with me. I remember Penn Women. Yeah, it's an interesting organization. I'll look into it, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So I think that kind of thing can bring more people into your group. I like your idea very much.
Well, what we'll do is this will be the first of our meeting with all the branches. That's a big undertaking, but like you
Wow.
said, we will have a checklist and we will meet with all branches, and the cumulative ideas and information that we're going to receive and get to know each other. I am so beyond excited with you gals. This is amazing. So yeah, we're just going to keep going and visit every branch and invite everyone. This was like a little, PR thing, just kind of getting our toes wet, just seeing what's going to happen. And you've just blown me away. That's all I can say.
Well, I have one more suggestion,
Oh,
if you
please.
don't mind.
Oh, not at all.
I've been worried about the little groups. I've seen comments by various, well, we only have 4 people, and what are we going to do? I think perhaps since you're making this wonderful voyage to meet all those branches, I take my hat off to you. Perhaps you could be a matchmaker, and Zoom would allow these groups to be from 4, they could be 20 or 30, 3 or 4 groups. Doesn't matter if they're in different states.
No.
They can create their own group. They could even have their own online group, as we were discussing, but in the meantime, they could have their own poetry meeting. They could have their own letters meeting. And I'm sure some of those, not just the little ones, I'm sure some mid-sized ones whose perhaps group has aged out, so to speak. There is another group in Greenwich, for example, that has maybe 10 members, 10 or 12, which is called the Pioneer Branch, and I joined them first, and then the Greenwich branch was more active, so I moved over to this group, and some of those same people that I joined in 1986 or something are still there. And they're totally committed to each other. A lot of musicians, they do great programs, but they're aging out. And I don't know that they particularly, we had a discussion at one point about joining, and that didn't work out, but they might be a perfect fit for another organization that perhaps has their particular tastes and profile. And it would be such a blessing because they're wonderful women and very talented. And I would be so thrilled if there were another group out there that would join with them.
Mhm. Perfect.
This
I
is
mean, we could invite
we could
them
even-
to, I'm sorry, yeah, we could invite them to another branch meeting, or a couple of us to get together and let them lead, let them read poetry or show their art, highlight them. Excellent. I'm sorry, Mary, go ahead.
It's okay. We all have just great ideas. And this might not be a good idea. I'll just put it out anyway. What you're describing maybe is something like, when a city has a sister city. I
Yes.
know Oakland, I think, has a sister
Yeah,
city
yeah.
in Japan. We could have that. We could have, and maybe it rotates every year.
Oh.
You have your sister branch for the year or 6 months or something. There's
Great,
an idea.
Great.
Wow. And we would get to know each other, and there's every way to do it. That one that's more established, take in one that's maybe struggling. That doesn't necessarily have to be the way. I'd be interested to find a branch that has more music members. That's a part of the conversation I didn't even get into, but I get excited when I hear about how the art, the visual art and poetry and writing is so flourishing in some of the groups. I feel music is struggling. I will just say that, but it feels like music's really struggling. We'll put that aside right now.
Yep.
But I think we have something cooking that will cook to do with having a sister or affiliate or whatever we call it. This is exciting to me. And this is why I love the minds of women. We didn't start out with that idea, but we're kind of getting there.
Matchmaking can be fun, I've heard.
And you know what's funny, Lee? Again, I belong to another composers group that my group hears me complain about this. I recently joined a national composers group that seems to be 90% men. And the very first meeting we had, No one really welcomed me. There we were after a concert on Zoom. I was the only woman on, and I said, this is very funny because you said matchmaking. I said, well, how about if we do composer speed dating for a minute so that we can all meet each other? I thought it was funny. I
Nobody
don't think it was
laughed.
well received, but this is the way that women work.
Yeah, they
and
didn't
men
get it.
don't.
They just didn't get it.
Troubles.
They didn't understand it. They don't have the same kind
They
of
don't
mind that we
understand
have.
it. And I wanted to know, I had raised a question, what is your most significant recent work, or how does your recent work change? How's it different from your early work? It went nowhere. It
Right.
went nowhere.
Oh, Mary, I feel for you. Sometimes, probably we all do. I think the role of a creative sometimes is very difficult. I've often said something like that that goes bomb on the floor very
Thank you.
loudly.
Yeah.
And in this group, fortunately, I feel that I can throw ideas out and people can throw them back. And in other groups, I sit with my lip zipped because I'm not in the right place for it. So I'm thrilled today that we're having this conversation because this is how we keep ourselves alive, folks. And I think we're doing a good job of it.
Right.
I also want to add one more thing. I think that the groups that you have within your branch should collaborate. In other words, I've always felt that poetry should collaborate with art, and art should collaborate with music, and music should collaborate with poetry, and letters should collaborate with other, with art, so that each group can create something within, with each intertwining each other's disciplines. And I love that. I'd love to have somebody put music to my poetry, or I'd love to have someone's art be my inspiration for a poem, or my poetry be someone's inspiration for art or music. And I participated once, like where
Whoops.
asked us to
We're
write
losing you again, Barb.
poetry, and then they a library asked us to write poetry, and they matched it up to a painting that they thought it worked with, and it was exhibited like that. And I think we could have an exhibit online like that. I mean, I have so many
Absolutely.
ideas like that, and I think if the branches and the groups come together, that this will be a fantastic way to unlock everybody's creativity. And Luana,
Yes.
I applaud you for that idea to get together with all the branches.
Oh, we have to. I mean, after this, and then we've been Zooming with Laura's group, and we just have so much to offer to each other. And we don't have to feel isolated, and the smaller branches won't have to feel like they're by themselves.
Right.
I love adopting them, bringing them in as a sister branch. There's just so much now. My mind is boggled. Thank you. Is
Hey,
there
I'll
a
tell you
word for
something.
boggled? I guess there is, but but thank you. And I do want your what you have. Evelyn, yes, my dear.
Let me just give you a little bit of information. We have 60 branches,
Okay.
and 16 of those have 10 or fewer. The smallest branch has 4 members in it. And the Pioneer branch, according to the latest figures we have, has 19 members.
Really?
Really?
That's what's on this roster.
I'm very surprised.
Anyway, I just wanted you to know something about, we were talking about the smaller branches, and 16 of our branches have 10 or fewer members.
And Evelyn, can I have that list so I know we can reach out to them, and we'll figure out a program and a way to do this properly. but to see, invite,
I will, we're in the process of getting rosters now, with the dues and everything.
right,
And so it will probably be by the middle of June before we can have everything complete where we can access it. Because all of this has to be put into our database. But
I
yes,
understand that.
you know,
And we'll have a new president's list too, so I can.
yes, we will have a new president's list. Everything changes in May, most of the time. So we will have access to all of that. And I apologize again for the fact that Lisa is gone and I'm here alone, and it has been a busy week. So
Well,
You
thank
are-
you so much.
You're very, thank you, Evelyn. We know how it is, and we appreciate what you're doing there, holding down the fort, and we'll be patient and wait for our updated list.
thank you very, very much. I'm telling you, Lisa is a jewel and I depend on her, so.
Well, we've
Great.
just gotten excited today, so. Okay, Lee, anything else? Because I think we're
Well-
gonna bring this to a close pretty soon.
I saw Rui, did you have your hand up?
You're muted, Ray. Her name's Ray.
Oh, Ray, I apologize.
No worry, no worry. It's spelling fun, Chinese name. Yeah, I just want to follow up Mary's suggestion when we have a sisters, group, like making the sister groups. Somehow we don't need to have two groups. Maybe we can have in a different region, maybe like this whole United States is so big. Maybe we can have 4 groups all together in this time.
Okay.
And I think that will really helps bring into the relationship and friendship and knowing other groups, how they doing also, yeah. And I would like to have more information about how are they doing, what's new on their side. Sometimes they can give us some update their shows and stuff, and then we can enjoy the two. So that's I just following Mary's suggestion. Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Maybe we should bring it to a close unless you have more information, or
Oh,
my mind's kind of, full.
I know.
And I appreciate you. I had no idea we were going to have lots of information. I mean, this was kind of like just not real planned out. So you did a great job, Lee.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I've enjoyed it. What a great group to work with. And Evelyn, it's a pleasure to have you here with us. Thank you very much for attending with all that you do. We all appreciate what the amazing job that you do. It's enormous, beyond my comprehension, frankly, but
You are very, very kind. We just try as hard as we can to accommodate our branches, our members at large, and we're here for you. So anytime you have a question, you have a concern, call me up and let me know. Thank
that's
you.
wonderful. Thank you.
Evelyn
Okay. Thank you,
always
Evelyn.
answers. She always answers, and she picks up that phone, and I can't believe it. I go, wow, okay, thank you. She helps all the time.
Thank you, Luana.
Okay, ladies, thank you so
Well,
much. I will
thank
figure out how
you.
to get this recording to you. And
And I'll work on the list and get that to you.
thank you so much. And I'll share it. It's okay to share it all over the.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. We need
Yep.
to get it out.
Good, good.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, you
Bye.
too.
Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Meeting. Nope, cancel. I'm getting it.